Welcome, everybody. We'll start with a statement of acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Gawler people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Gawler people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to living Gawler people today. We'll start with the roll call. We have apologies from Isaac and Renee. Any non-attendance? And Xanthi is joining us via Zoom. Any motions to grant leave of absence? Nope. We have one current leave of absence, Darcy Hancock. Non-attendance. Then we'll move on to the confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move the minutes? Amelia, and a seconder, Jack. Is there any discussion from the minutes? Any questions? Nope. All those in favour, please show your hands. Carried unanimously. I have to be able to see that she's okay. Cool. Carried unanimously. Do we have any business arising from the minutes? No. Okay, we'll move on to 7.1, the appointment of members. We have one expression of interest from Hannah Lucas. And if it's okay with you, Hannah, would you like to come up to the microphone and introduce yourself quickly to us?
Hello. Hi, I'm Hannah. And I guess I'd just like to join the council. Yeah, pretty simple.
Could you tell us maybe a bit about what you do, what school you're from?
So I have like a lot enrolled with Gawler. So I play football and then I umpire. And then I also do competitive swimming for the Gawler Gators. And I do like skating every single Friday night. And I guess one of like the main reasons I kind of like it is that, so my parents are in defence. So we had moved here in 2019. And at first I just hated it because I had just moved away from all my friends and all my family. And then I had like come into Gawler and I had joined into the youth space and I'd done those little activities with Crafty, and it just like, I'd found a place that was so welcoming and supportive and just such a diverse community that like, I just fell in love with it. And then I had, done a couple music stuff and Deb had asked, oh, hey, do you want to join this? You'd be amazing for it. And then I read into it and I just loved it.
Oh, does anyone have any questions for Hannah? No? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for speaking.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I'll have to ask you to exit the room while we vote for you. You can come back in a minute. Just do raise of hands on confirmation. Okay. Can I ask for a mover for Hannah? Brenna? And a seconder? Jack? All those in favour? Unanimously carried. Is there any discussion? Anyone want to comment on anything?
Just had one question. Where does it sit us currently with the sort of the total number of members that we can have? Just like if we're seeking more, like Do we have room for one more or two more?
Okay, well, that brings us to 12 members.
Okay.
But as Darcy is on a leave of absence, we still have space for one more member.
All right, thank you.
Cool. I'll invite Hannah to come back in now. Would someone like to open the door for her? Well, congratulations, Hannah. We have decided that you can officially join us. We'll have to go to council first. And then, yeah, you can be with us sitting at this table next month. Awesome. Okay. We will then move on to the Youth Development Officer's update. Deb, would you like to speak to the report? Oh,
Thank you, through the chair. Just on the weekend, we had a skate park competition. It was a really lovely day. We were a bit worried that we are going to get rained out, but it all worked out perfect. And we had 251 people throughout the course of the day, so it was really lovely. From the poll from the last meeting when we talked about what the YAC committee was interested to do, the top results are in, and it was the pizza and games nights. So we'll send through some dates possibly in June to get together. And the other update is with the youth administration traineeship that we're in the final stages. And as soon as the person has been appointed, we will let the committee know. Thank you. Questions?
before we move into a discussion, is anyone intending to move the motion? Well, would someone like to move that we, what Deb's report? Brenna, okay. Before we move on to a seconder, this is like the new way we're trying to do things. Is there any discussions, any questions? Nope, we'll ask again once for a mover. Brenna, you okay to move? Yep, and a seconder? Check. All those in favour? Unanimously carried. Then we will move on to 7.3, the Youth Sports Person and Youth Artist Sponsorship Program. Deb, would you like to speak to the report? Oh, no? Yeah. Does anyone have any questions in relation to the sponsorship program? Any discussion? Would there be anyone who would be happy to move the sponsorship program? Amelia? On the bottom of page 21, there is a note that one of the applicants is currently under the age bracket. They're only 11 years old, whereas the age requirement is 12 to 25 years. Does anyone have any discussion on this matter? Any comments? Does anyone believe that this person should not receive sponsorship? No? Okay. Well then, unanimously, all those in favour for these three. Jack was our seconder. If you're still okay to second. Then all those in favour for these three applicants receiving sponsorship. Yeah. Yeah. can't see Xanthi. Are you able to vote, Xanthi? I don't know. We'll just do it as carried then. The motion is carried. So we will move on to item 8, items listed for discussion. 8.1 is the chair's verbal update. My update, I had my first meeting with the mayor a week after our last meeting, so 3 weeks ago now. It's the first time I'd had like a proper one-on-one conversation with her, and it was really nice to introduce myself and what the act does. I have my next meeting next week, this time next week. So I guess if anyone has anything they'd like to discuss with the mayor through me or through any other member, I guess I'll put that out there if anyone wants to have a conversation in regards to conversations with the mayor. Yeah, these meetings, I guess, can be scheduled to whatever we want to talk about in relation to the act. So it would be good if any other members want to get involved. Yeah, that's about all I have. Items listed for discussion do not need movers or seconders, but if there is any discussion, would anyone like to comment? Cody?
This is just a general comment. Just letting you know that Councillor Shanks has sent in an apology. He has a 3-week-old baby, and I believe is low on sleep. And so it's been very hectic over there. So here's an apology.
Okay. Anyone else? No, we'll move on to 8.2, the Climate Emergency Action Plan Working Group update. I was unable to attend the last meeting, so if either Cody or Jack would like to speak to the meeting, particularly Jack, because Cody didn't attend.
Sure. Let me just pull up my notes real quick. So there wasn't a whole lot of attendance at the last seat meeting. It was just myself and another community representative, and then 2 staff members, just due to conflicting calendars. So we just moved through the agenda, just reviewing some of the comments that were fed back from the councillors during that workshop, and just confirming some of the recommendations that they made, as well as the responses that the community members made, just to make sure that everything was recorded appropriately. And then it's sort of just being sent through its final checks through the graphic design team before being put to community consultation in the coming weeks. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that's pretty much where it is right now, sort of towards the pointy end, which is pretty exciting. But that's it.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions or discussion? No. Okay, we'll move on to 8.3 then, the Youth Advisory Panel update, which I don't believe there is an. Oh, Candice or Amelia, do you have anything you'd like to say? You'll be representing the ACT on this. No. Good. Okay. Well, then we can't really discuss that. That's fine. Next time. Then 8.4, the Gawler Youth's accessibility to transport. Do we have someone to speak to this report? Jack?
Just a bit of an update since we last discussed the whole sort of the trains coming back, and there might be signage sort of promoting sort of the safety around trains and that infrastructure, as well as, you know, the new apps that have been introduced for timetables, because everyone's got to get used to a new system again. Big thanks to Abby and Isaac for volunteering as well. So we've been having a bit of a chat about that. But yeah, not a whole lot has happened since. Hopefully we'll get some stuff out into the social medias in the coming weeks in preparation for that very largely anticipated launch date. Oh, sorry, I forgot. If anyone else has any thoughts, comments, questions, feel free to shoot them through, like on the Youth Leaders Facebook page as well, because yeah, any feedback is greatly appreciated.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just to mention as well, in terms of updates to the transport situation, with the new state government, they have made it so that it is free, the substitute buses right now. Because previously some of them were free if they were private buses because there was no place to tap them, but it was very sporadic. So they've just, until the trains come back, then they're all free. And I think they've added a couple new services and such as well. But yeah, the big thing is just waiting for the train to come back to us after, I don't know, a year and a half now of the entire train line being down. So looking forward to that. And yeah, we still need to have our voice on vort testing in Gawler and stuff like that. So it's something we'll continue looking at.
Awesome. Any other comments or discussions? Any questions? No, well, I'll recommend that you guys, if you have any questions, you head on to the Facebook page or contact Jack directly. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer questions. Moving on to 8.5 then, Bike Month, which I believe is also Jack.
Again, Bike Month, because it's now in October, has given us a bit of a breather in terms of the preparation, so it's not as sporadic and sort of fast-paced as last year's. I did put up a poll on Facebook shortly after last month's meeting, asking if anyone was keen on becoming involved in the committee. A big thanks to Renee for offering to help during the month of October with any events and stuff. But if anyone has any sort of, want to jump on board or anything, just hit on the poll. It should only be like a few posts down. I can reshare it if people can't find it. But yeah, so hopefully in the coming weeks we'll be able to sort of plan some stuff and get an idea about what it'll be looking like, and yeah, hopefully also piggyback off the SEEP community engagement as well in terms of the whole sustainability aspect as well, and that discourse within the community. So that'd be good.
Awesome. Any questions or discussion? Any comments? Okay, we'll then move on to 9.1 items. Item 9, items listened for discussion at future meetings. 9.1, the tourism strategy, digital storytelling. Do we have? Yeah, this will be in our agenda for next month's meeting. We'll move on to item 20, questions without notice. Do we have any questions without notice? This is without notice. Is that without notice?
Okay, I have a question without notice regarding the bike. Regarding whether or not if the YAC needs to seek approval through council or through the SA Metro for the putting up of signs for the trains. Sent the youth accessibility to transport discussion item about those signage. What I was talking about before, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Jack. Can you just clarify? So you're after some confirmation about what signage is going up?
Sorry, got a bit muddled, but I was just wanting to see clarification as to whether or not the youth advisory committee is able to put up posters on train stations regarding train safety.
Through the chair. I think that you need to get approval from Metro SA. It's not council property. Yeah, so I think we can assist you with that.
I do have a contact for the electrification project, so could always get some advice from them of who you could speak to.
Thank you, that clarifies that. And the other question I had without notice was regarding the process of developing some sort of social media graphics, whether or not they need to go through a particular individual through council for approval prior to being posted.
Through the chair. Just to clarify again, so do you want to develop some posters on behalf of the YAC committee? Okay, then we would need to go through our marketing communications coordinator to consult with them to get some approval for that. So I can take that on notice and let you know the proper process.
I also had a question without notice. In regards to the youth sport and artist sponsorship program, I was just seeking clarification on what specifically makes a competition or an event that these sponsorship items can be applied to.
So there's currently guidelines that stipulate that it needs to be a state competition representing South Australia, or a national competition where you're representing the state or Australia. Those eligibility guidelines, I can forward those through to the YAC committee so you can have a read of those.
Okay. I will build on my question then. In regards to the art sponsorship program, a lot of these aren't structured the same way that sports competitions are, where you're representing a club or when you do an art sponsorship program, you typically represent yourself. But there are cases where, for example, community bands together will compete. Is sponsorship program, is it eligible? Our community competitions, such as band competitions, are those within the criteria for art sponsorship to be applied to?
I'll take that on notice, if that's all right, Jade, only because I don't have a copy of the guidelines in front of me and my Surface is not working. So yes, we'll take that on notice.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm sorry if I forgot the name of the building, but in regard to the building over there, it's like your government, it's the one. Thank you. Could you say that again?
The administration
The
building?
administration building, in regards of the pathway being taken out, do we know, are we getting a new footpath through that car park? Because that's quite dangerous for any pedestrians, and especially because people who live there are old folks, old ladies, old dudes walking through that car park is not like.
Through the chair, in regards to the laneway that walks up, I guess, to David Street, is that where you're specifically talking about?
Like the property that's on like the corner between the car park and property has blocked off their walkway because that's their property.
Yeah, correct. So through the chair, that back bitumenised walkway that goes up to David Terrace is actually a privately owned walkway, and the landowner at this point has decided to take it upon themselves to block that off and not allow any public access through there. Council are definitely trying to get a solution and get an outcome that does allow that to remain open as it has been previously, that does allow thoroughfare for people coming in and out of that area. That's a process at the moment, but it's definitely the intent is to have that walkway reopened again and make that publicly accessible.
Cool. Any other questions? Katie?
About how much of our sponsorship budget are we getting through each year in terms of art and sports sponsorship? Are we finding enough sponsorships to I guess use up our funding for that?
Through the chair. That was the subject of the report that came to YAC last month. Did have full details of that, and I was in response to the motion that you put forward. The current year-to-date spending is listed in the report. So for the final round for 22, we do have an amount allocated within our recurrent budget of $6,000. So we have not spent all of that this financial year, and was the purpose of the review of the program, so that we can really encourage that and improve that next year.
Yeah, I guess that was sort of a lead-in question for just about we're talking about the bands and this kind of thing. I'm just curious if some of that stuff, if we did open some of it up more, because if we needed to expand the, budget, for example, to fit in more stuff, but we were getting more relevant, stuff in there, then I think that's something that's worth continuing to look at.
Awesome. Any other questions or discussion? No. Okay, we will move on to item 11 then, motions without notice. Do we have any motions without notice? No, no motions without notice. I don't have any motions with notice. Then we'll move on to item 12, the close of our meeting at 7:01 p.m. The next ordinary meeting is Monday, the 6th of June at 6:30 p.m. So I will see you all then. Thank you all very much.